everyone, and welcome to this history revision video focusing on domestic policy under Thomas Wolsey. So firstly, a bit of background about Thomas Wolsey. He was born into a poor family and worked his way up, eventually studying at Oxford, and then resting in a church career. And he was known for being very skilled at finance and administration and just organising things. And then in 1515 he was made Lord Chancellor by Henry VIII, and he was also appointed Cardinal by a Pope, so he was very powerful and well respected throughout Europe. Firstly, with finances, Wolsey's priority was always going to be serving the needs of Henry, so this meant raising a lot of money from subsidies, taxation, and forced loans. Taxes were actually 50% higher in the 1520s than they were in the 1510s, but all of this was still insufficient for Henry's large expenditures. A good example of Henry's excessive amount of spending would be the Field of the Cloth of Gold in 1520, as he used a lot of money on this big party, but nothing was really achieved from it. And finally, just a few of Wolsey's financial failures. The amicable grant in 1525 was an attempt at raising taxes to fund another war, but this failed, and he also had mismanagement of Parliament as he could not get them to pass legislation and agree on the things that he desperately needed to serve Henry. Now moving on to law reform. Wolsey was very active in changing the laws of England. He created several new courts, most importantly the Star Chamber Court, Chancery Court and the Court of Requests, and all of this endeavoured just to make justice equal for all, including the poor, so that everybody could have access to justice. This also involved having better and quicker law enforcement. However, a big failure was that he often used the law for his own advantage. So it could be argued that Wolsey was quite corrupt in that respect. He had vendettas against nobility and would use the courts in his favour for his grudges. For example, Robert Sheffield was a man that Wolsey disliked, and so he called him to court every single day for several years and would then cancel the hearing, so it would be a big waste of time for Robert Sheffield. And he would also make sure that any cases against him would be abandoned so that nobody could ever question his authority. Now with social reforms, Wolsey would usually side with the poor, particularly for the issue of enclosures. Enclosures is when people would extend their fences into other people's land, and he actually had 222 nobles prosecuted for enclosures. However, he was forced to accept enclosures by 1523 as he needed the support to fund the war. The fact that he always sided with the poor and was willing to use the legal system against the nobility and gentry made him quite unpopular. Now, Wolsey's relationship with the nobility. I think overall this was quite a fragile relationship because Wolsey always wanted to prioritise Henry's needs, but he also had to manage and control the nobility and earn their respect so that they would work with him. They resented him because he was a poor butcher's son, yet he had much more power than any other noble, and he often used the courts against them, so he was quite disliked, but ultimately they would often cooperate. The fragility of his relationship with the nobility can be seen by how quickly Wolsey had his downfall in 1529, and how all the nobles immediately turned against him the second that they thought something might be going wrong for him. Finally, Wolsey's relationship with the church. He had always been a churchman, he had been made a cardinal, and was even a papal legate, which meant that he was a personal advisor to the Pope from England. His income was 6 times that of the richest noble, and he was the most powerful churchman and noble in England. He dissolved 20 monasteries and used that money to open up a new school at Oxford University, and he also increased the discipline of monks. But he always focused on Henry rather than the church, so this meant that little church reform was actually made by Wolsey. He was guilty of several church corruptions, including pluralism, nepotism, non-residency, simony, and he wasn't celibate. And ultimately he failed to secure an annulment, so that questions how much influence he really had over the church. Now just a quick explanation of the church corruptions. Pluralism is holding multiple positions within the church, so Wolsey was a cardinal, but he was also Archbishop of York. Nepotism is hiring somebody just because they're your family member or you're a close friend rather than because they earned the position. Non-residency is when you hold a position in a local area but you don't actually live there, so you're not fulfilling your duties there. So Wolsey was Archbishop of York, but he was literally never there. Simony is selling church property for your own financial gain, and celibacy is celibacy.